Automatic doors that open by themselves with zero electricity, zero chips, zero sensors, and the design is over 2,000 years old. That's not a typo. 2,000. Here's what got me. I walked into a grocery store last week. The glass doors slid open before I even slowed down, and my first thought wasn't cool technology. It was a man named Hero figured this exact trick out without a single wire. He built it, it worked, people walked through it. So by the end of this, you'll understand exactly how an automatic door ran on nothing but fire, air, and water. The full mechanism, step by step, where they used it, and whether any working version survived to today. And I promise, once you see the chain of cause and effect, you'll never look at a closing door the same way. We have this lazy picture in our heads. The ancient world is togas, marble, maybe a sundial. Smart? Sure. Mechanical engineers solving automation problems? That part we just don't expect. But the more you actually study these old worlds, the more one idea keeps hitting you. There were people back then thinking exactly the way a sharp engineer thinks today, critically, step by step, asking, what if the door could just do this itself? And that's the thing I find genuinely cool, not just that the door worked, but that someone sat down, reasoned through the problem with no electronics to lean on, and forced the physical world to obey. That's pure first principles thinking. No shortcuts. Before we get to the famous automatic version, start with the simpler trick because it sets up everything else. In some ancient homes, the door closed itself. Not magic, counterweights. Picture it. You tie a rope to the door. The rope runs up over a pulley and down to a heavy weight hidden in the wall. Open the door and you're lifting that weight. Let go and gravity wants its weight back. So it pulls the rope and the rope pulls the door shut. The door closes on its own every single time. And here's the part worth sitting with. That's a door closer. The little hydraulic arm at the top of your office door. The thing that stops it from slamming. Same job, same idea. Automatic door closing is older than electricity by a couple thousand years. The weight was the spring. Now, if you can close a door with stored energy in a rope, a sharper question shows up. Can you open one the same way without anyone touching it? That's the leap. And that's where Hero designed and built doors that opened automatically. And I want to be precise about how wild that is. No chips, no detectors, no motors as we'd know them. He constructed the whole thing from raw physics and it actually worked. Here's the setting. A temple. There's an altar out front where a fire gets lit. And behind the scenes, hidden from worshipers, is a sealed chamber, some pipes, a container of water, and a bucket. 4 ordinary things. Watch what happens when you connect them in the right order. Step 1, the priest lights the fire on the altar. The altar isn't solid. It's a sealed hollow vessel full of air. As the fire heats that trapped air, the air does what hot air always does. It expands. It needs more room. You can prove this to yourself at home, by the way. Hold a balloon over a warm radiator and watch it stretch. Heat air, the air pushes harder. That's the entire engine of this machine, that one fact. Step 2, that expanding air has nowhere to go but down a tube into a separate sealed container that's holding water. The air pushes on the water's surface. The water has to escape the pressure, so it gets shoved up and out through a siphon, and it pours into a bucket. Step 3, and this is the satisfying part, that bucket is hanging from a rope. As it fills with water, it gets heavier. It starts to sink, and the rope from that bucket is wrapped around vertical posts, the pivots the doors turn on. So the sinking bucket pulls the rope spins the pivots, and the temple doors swing open by themselves. The crowd sees only this. A fire is lit, a prayer is said, and the great doors open as if the gods reached out and pushed them. Nobody sees the air, the water, or the bucket, and it closes too. Let the fire die out. The air inside the altar cools and contracts, the pressure drops, the water gets sucked back, the bucket empties and rises, and a counterweight, the same trick from before, pulls the door shut again. The whole cycle resets, ready for the next fire. Let's slow down and name the chain because the genius isn't any one part, it's the order. Heat makes air expand. Expanding air pushes water. Moving water fills a bucket. A heavy bucket pulls a rope. A pulled rope turns a pivot. A turned pivot opens a door. 6 links. Each one is plain physics you already trust. Here's why I keep calling it critical thinking. Nobody handed Hero a chip that says detect a person, open the door. He had to convert one kind of energy into another, over and over, until heat from a fire became motion in a door. That's an energy transfer problem, and he solved it with the only tools the world gave him. And notice the design is honest. It uses time. The doors don't snap open the instant the match is struck. The air has to heat up, the water has to flow, the bucket has to fill, which is perfect for a ceremony where a slow building reveal is exactly what you want. So where do you actually put a machine like this? Temples. And the choice is brilliant, not accidental. The whole point was awe. Think about the experience from the crowd side. You can't see the chamber. You can't see the pipes. A priest lights a fire. The air fills with smoke and chanting, and the massive doors open on their own. If you didn't know the mechanism, what else could it be but divine power? The engineering hides and the miracle shows. And that's a use case we still copy. We hide the machinery and sell the effect. The grocery door that opens before you touch it, the lights that come on when you walk in, same instinct. Make the technology invisible so the moment feels effortless. Hero just did it with fire instead of a motion sensor. Now, the question I really wanted answered, and maybe you do too, did any working version of this survive to our time? Can we go somewhere and watch the original doors open? Here's the honest answer, and I'm not going to dress it up. What truly carried across the centuries is the idea, the design, the description of how it works, the chain of cause and effect. That blueprint survived. That's why we can rebuild it, animate it, and reason through every step like we just did. And honestly, the surviving idea might be the more powerful thing. A bronze door rusts, a pipe corrodes, but a working chain of reasoning. So back to that grocery store, the glass doors that opened before I slowed down. I used to think automatic doors were a modern luxury. They're not. The dream is ancient. Someone solved it with a fire, a sealed pot of air, a bucket of water, and a rope, and it actually worked. And that's the takeaway I want you to carry out of here. The ancient world wasn't waiting for us to invent clever. It was full of people thinking critically, from first principles, forcing the world to obey with nothing but the physics in front of them. Next time a door opens for you, remember that idea is older than electricity. Somebody figured it out with fire. That's the everyday equation. I'll see you in the next one.